I'd like to thank you all for joining us on today's webcast. Joining me on today's call, we have Joe, who's one of our System Centre consultants, and also joining us from Provance, we have Greg Singleton. Now, just before we kick off the main body of today's webcast, a little bit of webcast guidance for you all. We'd love everyone to ask questions right the way throughout today's body of the presentation. If you're in via Skype for Business, then please feel free to use the messaging facilities. If you're dialed in normally, then please feel free to drop any email or any inquiries through to inquiries@risual.com. Now, just to eliminate any background noise whilst we're doing today's webcast, we have got everybody's phones muted. We will be taking these off at the end, so again, please feel free to ask any questions, and either myself, Joe or Greg would be more than happy to try and answer them. We're also going to be recording today's session so that if any of your colleagues perhaps can't attend, or you want to revisit any of the information that we've gone through today at a later date, we will be sending out a link to everybody who's attended and signed up once today's webcast is finished. Now, what I'd like to do just before I hand over to Joe, who can go through some more of the System Centre elements, is just give everyone a quick introduction to Risual for perhaps those who haven't had many dealings with us in the past. Now, Risual are a complete customer-centric company. We provide consulting and managed services to help organisations kind of build and support innovative Microsoft solutions. We really believe that kind of IT is at the heart of positive change that can take place within businesses, and our vision is really to help customers understand and realise the full potential that they can get from the investments that they've perhaps already made within these Microsoft technologies. We think we're ideally placed to be able to help organisations in this way. Microsoft seem to agree with us. We're very happy with the fact that we were awarded Microsoft UK Partner of the Year this year, which is an absolute fantastic achievement, especially in our 10th year as an organisation. We've been runners-up in 2012 and 2013, so it's great that we've been finally recognised and made that next step. And we've also got multiple kind of Microsoft case studies, and we're a smart team and partner for Microsoft themselves, so they really do see us as a safe pair of hands for them. Now, when we're talking to customers and when we're working with them, obviously we've got consulting and services arms of our business. The consulting business, we like to kind of split into two, and this is where we kind of help customers either plan or implement the Microsoft technologies that are new and available currently. Now, the first element is our kind of business consulting, and this is where we can help you understand or achieve your business objectives. This can be done through strategic consulting. If we're working on kind of big projects with you, we've got engagement managers and project managers that we can get on board as well to help any projects run smoothly. And this is also where our architects sit. So if you're looking at kind of a complex solution of different Microsoft technologies, the architects can help work with you to tie them all together. Now, as an organisation, Risual are quite unique in as much as we cover pretty much all of the Microsoft technology stack. So it's great that we know how all the technologies interlink, but it's really important to point out that our consultants are all absolute specialists in their own individual fields. So in order for us to manage this, we split consulting into 4 distinct practices. The first of which is business productivity, and the consultants who sit in here will look after things like SharePoint or CRM. Now, our SharePoint consultants will only ever work on SharePoint. They won't be doing SharePoint one day and then helping somebody with Exchange the next. Their sole focus is SharePoint, and this gives them absolutely fantastic knowledge in these areas. The next practice that we've got is unified comms or unified communications and messaging, and this is where the consultants who work with Skype for Business or work with Exchange will sit, and again they only specialise in their individual fields. The next element is where Joe sits, and that's within our cloud infrastructure team. So these are the guys who help you decide whether perhaps a hybrid approach on-prem or taking everything into the cloud. This is where the people who look after things like System Centre would also sit. The next team that we've got is our innovations team. Now, the innovations team is the newest team that we've got at Risual, and these guys are doing some absolutely fantastic work around bespoke application development. We've recently created something called Room 365, which is an online booking system, or online room booking system that enables you to book rooms, to book catering, and to book any equipment that you may need. And it interlinks into all the different Microsoft technologies. So Exchange, SharePoint, again Skype for Business, so you can see who's relevant to it and get all that booked in a really easy manner for everyone to use. The next part of our business is the kind of services arm. So not only do we want to help people get the best value from the investments that they've made in Microsoft technologies and implement the latest and greatest versions, we also want to be able to help you monitor and optimize it once it's being put in place. So we can do fully managed services, we can be an extension of your own individual IT teams and offer third and fourth line support, both on a proactive and reactive basis. And we're also happy to support customers whether it's on-premise, it's in the cloud, or again you've taken a hybrid approach, which seems to be quite common at the moment. Now, when we're talking to customers, one of the things that we do like to do is kind of step away from the technology. We're, again, 100% Microsoft focused, and we know the Microsoft technologies can do exactly what we need them to. But really, we want to see IT at the heart of positive change within your organization, and we want to make sure that your business strategies, the IT can align to your business strategies. And in order to do this, we've got 3 distinct propositions that we go out to market with. The first of which is connected business. Now this really looks at how you want to engage with your customer, how you want your staff to interact with them, and making sure that your staff have got the right information at the right place at the right time. The second phase of this is what we call end user computing, and if we're giving the staff an engagement strategy, we're telling them how we want to interact with customers, it's absolutely vital that we give them the tools to be able to do that. So with this we want to empower the workforce, so there's absolutely no point at all if somebody is a kind of a remote worker and giving them a desktop PC. So it's making sure that the equipment that we provide staff with is fit for purpose and fit for their individual needs. We know there's kind of lots of different roles and responsibilities within organisations, and it's making sure that we're providing them with the right tools to be able to do their job efficiently. The third and final part is all about is what we call optimized service vision, and it's about making sure that your infrastructure is enhanced and is scalable in such a way to be able to allow your staff to engage with the customers in the way that you want, and to support the kind of laptops, desktops, smartphones that you've got in a sufficient way, and to adhere to any governance that may be in place. More than happy if anybody's got any questions about these things at the end to go into it a little bit further. But what I'd like to do now is just hand over to Joe, who is going to talk to you in a little bit more detail about the System Center suite of products. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, David. So I just want to just give a brief introduction to the suite before Greg takes over and does a bit more of an in-depth demonstration. Just want to check that the slides are loaded. Can you see that, David? Or
sorry, yeah, I can see those slides.
Yeah, okay, just on my side then it's going slow, but that's fine. Okay, so although Service Manager is a really powerful piece of software and it's vital to the System Center suite, there are certain areas that can be enhanced, and the suite tries to fill those gaps. So the areas that it focuses on is mainly asset management, the usability of Service Manager, and also self-service, so how we can provide self-service capabilities out to the end users. Now, I know a lot of this can be done in box with the Service Manager tools. The suite actually looks to enhance some of this capability. Okay, so the first area is assets management. So the Service Manager provides a really powerful CMDB that's populated by Operations Manager, Configuration Manager, Active Directory, and the manual import of data. And this CMDB underpins the whole of the Service Manager environment, right through from incident management to change request management and everything in between. But what would be really useful is if we could combine the CMDB with your asset management. So if you think about your end users have an issue with their laptop and they contact the service desk, it would be useful if the analyst on the service desk could look up the warranty information of that laptop, swap out that laptop, and then provide another laptop to the end user, all from one console without having to go into different areas. The suite is able to provide this with the asset management features from Provance, and Greg will go into more of this detail later on. On the usability side, although there's a self-service portal built into Service Manager, we often find at Risual that customers don't find this customizable enough. So many requests around changing it, making it more agnostic to browser or device just aren't possible with the built-in portal. So the self-service portal that comes with the suite is all HTML5 based, CSS based, so it can be completely customized to your requirements. Again, Greg will demonstrate what this looks like and how it can be used later on. We also find that customers are often wanting service requests that are a little bit more advanced than what is possible out of the box. So things such as being able to log requests on behalf of other users. This just isn't possible with the built-in portal. So the suite provides a self-service portal where you can do advanced relationship modeling. We often find that customers also want to start doing a shopping cart approach to their service request. So instead of having individual requests for a new starter and then having to submit a separate request for perhaps an email account and another request for a PC, a lot of customers want to be able to combine all this into one request. We can start to do this with the suite because we have conditional questions. So it's possible to ask a question, would you like a PC, yes or no? And then, depending on the answer, display a different set of questions. Customers find this really, really useful in building this shopping cart approach. We can also start to do multiple mapping as well, which is a really common request, where we could ask one question which can then be mapped to one field within the request. Again, on the usability side, moving on from the end user side, but back to the analyst, we often find that customers want to be able to access Service Manager, but without having the console installed. So this could be a mobile user, or perhaps you're floor walking, resolving incidents, and you want to be able to get to the console to mark it as resolved or to update an incident. Instead of having to go all the way back to your desk or to carry a laptop around with you, it'd be quite useful if it was possible to get to this via a web browser. So the the suite includes a portal similar to the self-service portal for the end user, where the analysts can get to all their incidents. This can be customized exactly the same as it can in the console, so any customizations can be carried across. So we were just saying about the Power Pack that comes as part of the Service Manager suite. Oh, I think everyone can see the slides again now. So we've got the Power Pack that comes with the Service Manager suite, where we can start to roll up all the different work items into a single view. So this makes the usability of Service Manager far easier, that you haven't got to have analysts scrolling around the console, checking that they have got different work items to action, so they could just sit in one view and all their work is immediately obvious to them. Another part of the Power Pack is the ability to be able to almost have a scratch pad. So if I'm an analyst sitting on the service desk and I take a telephone call for one of my end users, out of the box with Service Manager, you've got to make a decision at that point if you're going to start to create an incident or whether you need to start submitting a service request. Using part of the Power Pack, it's possible to take all your notes, find out the entire extent of what the request from the user is, and then make a decision whether you're making a service request or an incident, without having to close it down and then recreate the other type. So we find this is really useful for customers, especially when they're starting out with service management, or if they're just used to having more of a help desk system where everything's handled as one type. Again, with the analysts sit on the service desk, if I'm actioning an incident, perhaps for an exchange incident, it would be useful if Service Manager was able to tell me who could actually help resolve that incident. So part of the Power Pack, we have the Power Assign, which Greg will demonstrate later. This Power Assign will take the affected configuration items or your business services, and will actually be able to suggest the correct people for the incident to be escalated to, should I not be able to help. This is really useful, especially for perhaps new starters on the service desk or for service desks with a lot of business services or configuration items. And then finally, as part of the usability, probably one more for IT managers or team leaders. Although Service Manager has some really good reporting capabilities, so it's got the Cube analytics, it's also got the built-in SQL reporting, which could be extended. There's no way to do dashboarding. So live dashboards, perhaps up on a big screen with the number of incidents or number of service requests that are currently in different queues. The suite can help there with its dashboarding. This is fully customizable, and you can create the dashboards that are going to be useful to you. So in conclusion then, we've looked at how the suite is able to help with asset management, how we can combine the CMDB with the asset management to create more powerful capabilities for managing your assets, especially just directly from the service desk. We looked at the usability, so how the analyst portal and the power tools can all be used to make your analyst's job far easier. And how the self-service portal, which is HTML5 based, so completely agnostic, can help to improve your self-service capabilities moving forward. So I'd like to hand over to Greg now, hope the slides will work, where he can go into all these in a bit more depth and to give you a bit of demonstration of all these features.
Great, thanks Joe, and thanks to the team at Risual for making today's webcast happen. Really a pleasure for me to be here. So hopefully people are seeing slides and things are moving along okay. Seems that they are on my end anyway. So just quickly.
I can see them, Greg, just to confirm.
Okay, good thing. Thank you, Rob. So Joe's given you a good kind of summation of the suite and how we're kind of taking Service Manager to the next level. And it's more about taking what's really great about Service Manager and making it better for customers on a number of different levels, and I'll talk to that in a moment. Just a bit of background on Provance. We're a Canadian software company. I'm speaking to you today from Ottawa, Canada, and we've been doing this for a long time, since 1997. We're well known for our expertise and our quality of products around IT asset management, which is where we come from, but we worked with Microsoft when they're coming out with Service Manager to develop a kind of a tailored for Service Manager asset management capability, which is native to the platform, and that's what we're really focused on in terms of bringing to market now and working with partners like Risual to help do that. As well, I'd like to mention that Risual in the UK is Provence's #1 or our top partner in the UK, so any sort of services or requirements you have around Provance products, the team there, Joe included, are excellent resources to assist you. Okay, so let's get going with my bit here, and let's see how we get on. So what I wanted to kind of talk to you today about was not kind of just going through each product and saying here's a feature, there's a feature kind of thing, but talk about it more from a kind of a scenario perspective or a solution perspective. And that is really, when you look at ITSM and the services that IT has to deliver within an organization, there's tons of different stakeholders, everything from your end users to your line of business managers and so on. And everybody has, their own requirements, their own goals, their own KPIs or expectations of IT. And as I'm sure you all know, it's a bit of a juggling act. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. But this is where products like the suite and some of our other products can come to play to help, again, extend a very powerful platform and Service Manager to help enable some of these things so you can start to address more and more and more of the user community's needs and meet those expectations. So that's really why the suite came about, and again, taking what's already a good platform and extending with new functionality and new capabilities and so on to make Service Manager a more capable platform for meeting the needs from an IT service management perspective, but again, extending to things like asset management and self-service and so on. So as Joe said, summarized for you, we have the suite, which is really what we're talking about today, self-service portal, an analyst web console, best-of-breed asset management and data management, and the analytics and dashboarding application as well. But we also have another sort of bundling of tools or utilities, if you will, that are free from Provance and available through risual or from Provance directly, which again provides some utility and some cool little helper applications that again extend Service Manager. So those are available. If you're using Service Manager and you haven't already requested and downloaded the essentials, I encourage you to do so. It's worthwhile, and it's something that we're adding to all the time in terms of just adding these types of utilities for customers for convenience purposes, and making sure you're still aware that we're out there, that sort of thing. All right. So with that, let's talk about the demo I'm going to walk you through. And it's a bit of a challenge, right? Greg, here's 30 minutes of time that you have to kind of talk about 5 or 6 different products and make it all kind of hang together cohesively so people kind of understand the value. That's a pretty simple statement, but it's a very difficult thing to execute against. So what we've done is we've created a scenario. It's a scenario about onboarding a new employee, and it's something you've probably seen before or used in different scenarios. But this one, I'm going to wear a bunch of different hats. I'm going to be a procurement manager. I'm going to be an asset manager. I'm going to be an IT manager. I'm going to be a field technician. I'm going to be a hiring manager. I think those are the different roles, and I'm going to switch between them as we go. The organization that we've got created for the scenario is called SCU and Company. And the scenario is we've just hired a new marketing executive. We've kind of stolen her away from the competition. She's going to be a top marketing executive, very important new hire for us. So we really want to make a good first impression when she starts next Monday. And so we need to go through the process of getting her onboarded and provisioned and equipped and so on. And that's kind of what I'm going to walk you through. So with that in mind, let me jump into my demo environment here, and hopefully everything's still working well here. Present. So I just started to share my desktop, and it's connecting now. Rob or Joe, if you could just confirm that you're starting to see my desktop, that would be great.
Yeah, I can see your desktop, that's fine.
All right, terrific. So we're good to go. So what you're looking at is the self-service portal part of the suite, and this is the Service Manager environment has its own native portal, but it's not as modern or as flexible or as capable as what we've delivered here in an HTML5 application, as Joe already described, and lots of different capability here that's just not natively available with Service Manager. So coming back to our scenario, I am now the HR manager. And I've been informed by the IT organization that they've created a new corporate process for onboarding or initiating the process to onboard new employees through the self-service portal. And I can see in my announcements actually, sorry, there you go, that there's one here for a new corporate process for onboarding new employees. So check it out. So they've asked me to, can you please walk through the process and let's make sure everything works the way it should, et cetera. So I can come in here to the self-service portal. I can see that as a user, I've got a few open requests here that are in progress or submitted. But to get to this new onboarding process, I go to the service catalog. And so right out of the box, when I install the self-service portal, I can see all of my service and request offerings in the portal, and then I can start to modify them or add new ones, etc. But here's that corporate process for onboarding, so let's get that started. Create new request. Okay, so I can see here that I've got a number of forms. It looks like I've got 4 pages, and they're going to solicit some input for me. So Lisa Jones is the new employee, so let me get her name in there. She's going to have an 2015 is her HR ID. We're quite a large organization, and so we've got lots of different organizational units, and she's in marketing. So I'm going to do a quick search for marketing, and she happens to be located in the United States, so I'm going to do that. And same here for cost center. I'm going to look for marketing, and she falls under that particular cost center. So we're capturing some organizational level information here as we're going. Computer selection. So here at SCU and Company, our standard kit for an executive of this level would be a notebook computer, a tablet, and a smartphone. So let's get that set up for Lisa. The kit was a notebook, a tablet, and a smartphone. So I'm going to go and do that, and I can select that, get that, and a monitor, a nice big monitor for Lisa. Now, I don't know if you're following along close enough here, but I actually selected a desktop instead of a notebook. And this is to kind of illustrate some of the conditional questioning and the branching logic that we have in the portal that comes out of the box. So when I go for a notebook, I get different options. So now I can pick a model. We're going to get her a T440. Monitor is good. Of course, we're going to get a docking station, and then we'll get her some notebook accessories here. And in this case, because she's an executive, she gets the luxury notebook bag, keyboard and mouse. All right, so that's good. Let's keep going here. Add a mobile, yes. Get her a Lumia 535 and a tablet, a Surface Pro 3. All that looks good, so I'm just going to keep going. Software, because she's a marketing person, she's going to get a subscription to Dynamics CRM Online. So we'll select that, and we're going to add some additional services. And again, corporate VPN, yes. Marketing, lots of files and so on. So extra storage and extra mailbox as well, because she'll be a prolific emailer, I'm sure. All right, so we're going in there, and we've got a service request that's been confirmed, and it's SR7576. Okay, so just remember that number. And we can go into the portal now under my request as the HR manager, and I can actually see my requests are here. Here it is, user onboarding. I can open up the details, confirm everything. All of the information that we input it goes into the description here, and this ends up in your Service Manager service request. So if you open Service Manager, you would see all of this detail. And then, of course, the summary details is down below here. And also what's happened is, and out of the box, there's no kind of magic going on here. This has also created a request activity and 2 manual activities as part of the process of this onboarding. So you'll see me go through and sort of push these along as we go. And if I want to, I could add attachments or comments or cancel the request or whatever, but we're good to go now. All right, so changing hats here, again, I'm now the hiring manager, and I have been sent an email by procurement saying, okay, by HR, we've initiated the onboarding process of Lisa, but you have to approve it so that we can start to do things like set up a mailbox and an Active Directory account and initiate all the other processes that we need to equip Lisa. So I happen to be out at Boots picking up some goodies for the family, and I get this email, and I pull up my mobile app. So in this case, I'm using Mobile Front, which is one of the products that we have. It's not in the suite, but it's one of the products that we offer. And this allows me to use any mobile phone and any OS to be able to interface with Service Manager and see incidents and requests and so on. So here's a review activity. I know there's one in here for me for onboarding of Lisa, and hopefully it's awake here. I'm just going to scroll down and find there should be one in process here. There it is, user onboarding, and this is the one for Lisa. And I'm just going to go in here quickly just to save time, and I'm going to approve it. I'll just do a quick OK there, approve that. So that allows the process of onboarding that we've got going here to continue on, and the next steps can happen. All right. So following with me, hopefully okay. So next hat I'm going to wear is that of the asset manager. So we know that we have to equip Lisa with a few hardware items and a subscription license to CRM. So let's go in here into Provance and do that. So a couple of things about the Provance asset management that's very, very nice is, first of all, as an asset manager, I get my own workspaces. I'm not coming into Service Manager and the Service Manager environment having to worry about configuration items and all this other stuff that Service Manager does. I know that I want to do the function of asset management. It gives me a place to do that. So let's first worry about the software. So we know that this is a SaaS application, and Provance allows me to manage software licenses by a couple of different ways, installation or assignment. And assignment's a good way to manage SaaS type applications. So that's where we'll go in here, and we'll, as this wakes up, it'll start to present us with some of the software titles that we have available. But the one that we're interested in primarily here is Dynamics CRM Online. And I see I got my green check mark, which means from a licensing perspective, we seem to be in good shape. And it's showing me here that I've got, I'm entitled to 20 licenses. I only have 10 assignments. So I've got lots of room here to assign one to Lisa. I also notice here I got a little red check against AutoCAD, and I'll come back and look at that at a later time. There seems to be a problem with the licensing there. But when I click on CRM Online in the taskbar, I get a number of different tasks or things that can help me step through the process properly, make sure I don't miss steps, ensure again things get done in the right way in the right order. So for convenience purposes, something that's unique to Provance here. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign that license to Lisa. So I can just go over here and say assign. And in a moment, I'll get a wizard, and this wizard gives me the option to assign this software title to an asset or to a user. So obviously it's a user, and I'm going to go and select one license, and I'm going to go and find Lisa in our system here. She's been added now. And there she is, and we happen to know some more information about Lisa now, like her affiliations to things like location, organization, and cost center, which we set up when we initiated the request. And we can finish that. Okay, so I've assigned a license to Lisa, and we're done there. We're good to go. Okay, so let's look for the hardware assets. Now, in Provance, there's a number of different hardware classes, and this is the enterprise version of our product, which has a number of different asset classes, because you don't manage computers the same way you manage mobile assets, for example. But for my purposes, I've had some power views created that allow me to look into our inventory or our stored and look at multiple different asset classes in a combined view for convenience purposes, to make it more efficient and so on. So let's see what we got available for us here. I'll sort these by type. And remember what we're looking for. We're looking for Lenovo T440, we're looking for Lumia 535, and we're looking for some Surface 3s as well to be available. And if I look down the list here, and I've sorted this, at the bottom here we got laptops and so on. Down here, I don't have any T440s available in storage, and what's there seems to be either damaged or legal hold. That's probably an interesting story, wouldn't it? And then we don't have any 535s and no Surface 3s here. So clearly we have to initiate a procurement. So our policy at SCU and company is that whenever we do a top up in our inventory or our storage, we buy minimum quantities of 10 because our supplier gives a bit of a discount, and it's always good to have extra on hand for breakage and for new employees and those sorts of scenarios that we're dealing with right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to initiate a process for procurement for the hardware assets that we need and get that over to procurement with an urgent sticker on it so that things get moving along quickly, because we're running out of time. And Lisa starts on Monday, and if I haven't said it already, we want to make a really top, first impression with her. So I'm switching hats again from asset manager to procurement manager. So one of the things that at SCU that we use Provance for as well is management of our purchase orders and invoices. And some companies do this and some don't need to. But Provance gives us the ability to manage all of our POs and invoices right from start to fulfillment and the tracking and management of these things, and relation to assets and so on in a closed loop. So I've created one ahead of time just to save time here in the demo. But here we got a PO, all the typical information you might expect in a purchase order: PO number, dates, today's dates on there. We can manage them from a lifecycle perspective. We can have approval dates and tracking things like our supplier here is an organization called CDW. We can have internal, external contacts, bill to, ship to information, and some of the default information that we want to track, like, well, what's the location for this asset, cost center, for the budgeting, organization, etc. Date required, which is on Monday next, so you can see all that information's here. As well, we can manage all of the line items. So we see we're ordering here 10 Surface 3s, 10 Lumia 535s, and 10 T440s. So we're good to go there. Everything seems to look good. So off we go. Everything's totaled up. It's quite a large order for us, but we'll get that going. Okay, so I'll do that. So as a procurement manager, I've done that. Now, the other thing that I need to do as a procurement manager is keep the process moving in terms of the activities. So I'm going to use Mobile Front again as the procurement manager, just to let everybody know and let the system know that we've now initiated the procurement of those assets. So I can go in here and I'll just scroll down and find the ones that are in process. There it is. Click on that, and I can go and complete that activity. So I'll mark it as completed. Assets ordered. Okay, good to go. Let's rock and roll. So I'll go back home here and refresh that for the next step. Okay, so changing gears again on you. I'm the IT help desk manager or supervisor, and part of my job is monitoring what's happening in terms of types of incidents we're having, trend analysis, looking at number of priority incidents we have, time management of my staff, how many work items do each of my staff members have, what's their workload like, completion, looking at things that are exceeding our SLAs, etc. And I use Insight for that, the analytics and dashboarding application. And I get a phone call from the hiring manager, And he's a little bit perturbed. He's saying, well, he said, we've got this new employee starting. She's a marketing executive. She's a really important hire. We want to make the most positive impact we can in terms of her coming on board. And I'm standing here looking at her office, and there's nothing on her desk. There's no laptop. There's no tablet. There's no phone. I don't know what's going on. Can you help me out? And I say, okay, well, let me have a look here at our work items in the Insight product and the reporting product. And you remember our service request number was 7576. So it's here. And this was created, today. So no magic here. So I tell them, yeah, Lisa Jones, okay, marketing, yeah, I see all that. Well, I can see you've ordered that there's a bunch of assets she needs, and I know that our inventory was a bit low, so likely what's happened is these assets are on order, so we're waiting for them to come in. But I also noticed if this was so urgent and she's so important, your priority level is set to medium, and the urgency level is set at medium. And why is that? And that should be at priority. And I know Greg, he's one of our top technicians, and he'd be all over this. So not sure what's going on here, but we should change that. So what I tell him is, I'll change the priority and the urgency to make sure it's at high, and I'll also ask Greg to go and contact procurement and find out what the status is and make sure that you're comfortable that things are in good hand here. So what I do then is, as a manager, I prefer not to use a native console. I travel a lot. I work from home a lot. So I prefer to use a web interface into Service Manager, and for that I use Webfront. And Webfront is a complete Service Manager interface with some lots of additional functionality and capability, but more importantly, you're using a web interface to interact with Service Manager. So all the capabilities you have in Service Manager, you have here, and I can go and open up that service request by doing a search for it here, 7576. So just take a second here. It probably went to sleep on me while we're going through the other steps. And in a moment, it'll pull up that service request. There we are. So I'll open it up. And all of the detail that was captured, all the stuff that was input from the portal when we first initiated the process, and all the steps are being tracked here in the service request. So here you can see all that detail, Lisa Jones, etc. But here's the urgency and the priority is medium. I'll set those to high, and I'll add a note. Please check with procurement on asset status. All right. And I'll add that in. So that's been updated, and the technician will now see the updates and know that there's some action that needs to be taken and so on. But at least everything's up to date here. Okay, and then I'll get word back to the hiring manager, and he can relax a little bit. Okay, so that's great. So in the meantime, what's happened is I'm coming back as the IT manager here, as the asset manager. I've heard that we've confirmed that we're going to get delivery later this afternoon of a partial shipment of assets, and that our supplier, CDW, has sent us a spreadsheet, basically a CSV file with what we're receiving. And so I want to get those assets in the system so I can right away get them assigned out to Lisa and get them into our stores and so on. And for that, I'm going to use the data management product. And the data management product is very, very efficient in enabling the importing of data from almost any source into the Service Manager CMDB. So whether that's asset data or any other data, you can use the product to do that. And it has a wizard-driven, template-driven kind of interface. And so let's go and use a template that's been pre-built for me. Next, I'll just tell it the location of the file, which is what I'm doing here. Next, it gives me a little bit of preview of the rows and columns so I can see what's coming in here. We've got some surfaces and stuff like that coming in here. I can go next. What this does here in this step is creating relationships between objects and between objects. So, and I can have multiple different types of objects. They don't have to be all computers. Here I've got a computer, I've got a tablet, and I've got a mobile asset, and they all relate to a warranty agreement, for example. A simple example, but that's the kind of data we got here. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to import this data. So there's 9 records coming in, and if there's any errors, it would tell me, but I don't expect any. I've done this a few times. So it looks like everything came through okay. So let's close that, and let's go see if they actually came into Provance, into the asset management system. And I've got a Power View here under hardware asset management, and I've got received assets. So let's sort those. And so here they are. So we can see that we've got, let's see, we got 3 T440s, 2 Lumias came in, and 4 Surface Pros came in. And so we can see that they're all here. So now as the asset manager, I can assign these to Lisa. So I'm going to pick a laptop, I'm going to pick a phone, and I'm going to pick a tablet. And I'm just going to hit the install button here. So again, it's an automated asset management process that walks me through all the steps that are required to properly install and track lifecycle and so on as it relates to these assets. So I'm going to click install here, and I'm going to assign these to Lisa. So let's just go find Lisa in the system here. Search, there's Lisa, okay. And we can do things like set her location, her organization and cost center affiliations according to her defaults. So we bring those in, so things like location Dallas, Texas. What's the use of this asset? Production, its readiness status is in use because we're going to have it put on our desk right away. A lifecycle status would be installed, and we can put some notes in here, but also we can see other details around this like cost center, etc. So I'm going to say, okay, let's make that happen, and it's done. We're ready to go. Lisa's good to go. So the next thing that can happen now is we can get these assets installed on her desk. So switching hats on you again. I'm now the IT technician. I've got the assets and I've imaged them and all that sort of thing has happened. And she's all set up. I've gone to her office. I've connected everything. Network connections work. All the software works, email, etc. I've talked to the hiring manager, so he's now relaxed and he knows everything's going to be great and she'll be impressed when she comes in on Monday. And so I'm done. So the last step for me to do as the field technician is to complete the activity. So the service request. So now I can go in here and into mobile front again. So I pull up my mobile phone and I can scroll to the actual, it should be here, there it is. Manual activity here of installing the computers. I can go in now and complete these, installed and good to go. And we're done. Okay, so now that's done. I'm going to put one more hat on for you, and that's the HR manager. And the HR manager got an email from the IT organization saying, okay, we just closed a service request for you, and we would like your feedback. How did it go? Did you get good service? Did it work the way you wanted to? How was the corporate process, etc.? And so they would send me an email with a link in it. And the link would take me directly to the completed service request, but I'm not showing that here. But I can go into my request and show my closed one here, history. It'll show me. There's 7576. I can open it up now, and I'll be given the opportunity to rate this request. So here's a star system. Of course, it was stellar, best ever, brilliant, get a raise. And I can provide feedback into the IT organization that they can use for quality control and so on, how they match up with service expectations, KPIs, and all that. And I'm done. So with that, that's a scenario. Hope that you're able to follow along okay. Apologies for the little hiccup in the middle there and losing my connection to our server. But recovered pretty quickly there, and hopefully you got a good feel for some of the capability here. I know it was quick, but there's certainly lots of opportunity through recordings or through contacting Risual for us to do a proper session with you and walk into more detail with you around the products and walk through them in more detail at any point in time. So with that, I'm going to ask David to take back control and wrap up.
Thank you very much for that, Greg. I'm just waiting to get control again now, so it won't be a second. And hopefully in a couple of seconds everybody should be able to see the slides again. I'll just wait for them to load up, it won't be a sec. So what I'd like to do just before we kind of wrap up and look at kind of what the next steps would be is just again give you a quick kind of overview of how Risual Support can help you kind of manage, monitor, optimize your use of Microsoft technologies within your organization. So we've got a couple of different flavors of support that we're currently offering to our customers and that we're receiving excellent feedback from. The first of which is our kind of fully managed service. So we can do it either by application or full outsourcing. And again, it can be on-prem, hosted, or in the cloud. We currently provide support for a number of customers where not only do we help them with their Microsoft technical issues, but we also triage calls into another partner of ours to help with things like VMware or Citrix. So really, Risual can be your one-stop shop for any support. Particularly at the moment with kind of lots and lots of organizations move into Office 365. Office 365 is a kind of evergreen, ever-changing product. We've got support designed specifically to help customers, first of all, understand perhaps where the issues may lie. And we've got what we call an Office 365 Service Manager. So we'll help you to troubleshoot. We'll help you to identify whether the issues lie within Office 365 or perhaps any of the other kind of interrelated technologies such as Active Directory Federation services. The other great thing that we offer around Office 365 is our Office 365 Maximizer. So Office 365 changes on a regular basis. Sometimes I think there can be up to 200 minor changes per month or per period, and we think it's absolutely kind of critical that you understand what changes are being implemented, how it may affect you as an IT team, or how it may affect your end users and how they're currently working. So for this, we can send a consultant on site to run through all these different changes for you, let you know the implications and how it may affect the way that you're currently working. Now, what we can also offer is kind of workload support. Now, this can be on a purely reactive basis, where we've got our standard proposition. So if anything breaks, we're on hand to act as kind of an extension of your own internal IT team, and you can escalate things through to ourselves. If we can't answer it, we've actually got premium support in place with Microsoft ourselves and can then kind of escalate it further for you if need be. We've also got our premium support package, which we think is really the best solution for people in terms of supporting different workloads, or if it's a new technology that's coming in that perhaps you don't have the skills in-house, as this is both proactive and reactive and is done on a 24/7 basis. So what we do is we use some of the System Center products to proactively monitor any of the services that we're supporting for you, and that way we can provide a daily health check and hopefully identify any issues before they affect the end users. What I'd like to do is thank everybody for joining us on today's webcast. There's a couple of kind of live demos on Provance's website that hopefully everybody can see the address for there. If anybody's got any queries at all and they would like to speak to either myself, Joe, or Greg, if you email through to inquiries@risual.com, either now or at a later date in the future, that will be picked up and distributed accordingly. And of course, if after watching today's webcast you think, actually, yeah, the System Center Suite, Provance stuff, definitely something that we'd like to do, then please don't hesitate to contact us. Risual can help with deployment services. We can help you with designing and planning it, build, test and deploy, and then obviously ongoing training and support. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed today's webcast and got something out of it. If I could ask Rob just to take everybody off mute, and if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to shout out. I'm aware this is probably going to be the complete tumbleweed moment and it goes deathly silent, but to say please do feel free to ask away, or please feel free to use the message box at the side. And once again, thank you very much everyone for joining us today.